Hi everyone. When I get home from work after a long day, I always like to cook, as you know, I talk about this all the time, is cooking at home because I think it's, you know what the ingredients you're getting, you know what you can put in it, you know all sorts of things when you're able to cook at home. And I wanted to start doing a few cooking demonstrations just so that you could really see quite how simple it is. So I've spent the last 10 hours working, so the last thing I want to do is make a complicated meal. So I like to make everything in one pot on the weekdays because it's really super simple. So what I'm going to show you right now today can apply to many different things. Today I'm going to be using onions. I'm going to be using broccoli, organic. The onions are organic, and I'm going to be using some Polish sausage links. So basically you can interchange the protein. I was thinking of using chicken, but I thought I would do something different. You could use chicken, you can use ground beef, you can use ground pork, you can use ground tofu if you wanted. If you wanted to make it vegan, you could literally do anything with these three ingredients, and I'll show you how simple it is. So what we're gonna do first is we are going to chop up the broccoli. Now, I like to chop up broccoli I like to get rid of all the big thick bits because they're the parts that are filled with carbohydrate. And they're also the part that doesn't really have a lot of the good stuff in it. The goodies are really found a lot in the stems and a lot in the sprouts, actually. So I like to get them down into small little sizes. They tend to cook quicker that way, so you're not sort of wasting a lot of time, waiting for things to sort of cook. Because as you'll see, a lot of these one-pot meals will come out really, really quickly, and I'll try to make a bunch of these. And you'll not only see how they come up, but they sort of gel together because as the vegetables sort of, the onions will caramelize, these will give up, the broccoli heads will give up a lot of water. So you'll be able to see a whole bunch of different how things interact, because I think the reason most people are afraid of food is they don't quite know how it's gonna work and they have to follow a recipe. And what I'm gonna teach you is that I'm doing this without a recipe at all. So see how I just peel back the stalks? And then I'm gonna cut off the thicker piece and just throw the littler ones in there. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the same to this. And again, you just judge for yourself. If you like more stalk, leave more stalk on. I kind of tend to mix it up a bit, so I get a little bit of stalk in some and then not some in others, but the smaller you make them, the crispier they will become when you're sauteing them. So just remember that. So I'm not gonna bore you with chopping up any more broccoli. I'll chop up an onion. I'll just show you how easy it is to do. You chop off one end, you chop off the other end. What I do is just put a little knife through it. It's probably not the safest thing to do, but I do it anyway. It's how I learned, how my mother and father both taught me. Typical, street Italian food from Italy, not street Italian American food, which is completely different. Then you just cut the onion in half, and then you let me get the onion out of the way so you can see. Get the macadamia nut oil out of the way so you can see. And then you just sort of slice it like that. It's really very simple. Don't cut yourself, and you just throw it in the pot. I always like to use a slightly bigger pot than I need, simply because I like the food to have room in order to move around so that it sautés more evenly. And then when it sautés more evenly, you'll be able to get a better, the entire dish will be good. So then I just throw some of that in. And now I'm gonna let the vegetables, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of macadamia nut oil in it. Maybe a little bit more than you might use at home, but I tend to really like the health benefits of the macadamia nut oil as well. And I'll probably end up having to throw more in. I'm gonna throw a little bit of salt in. Don't be afraid of salt. Salt is excellent for the kidneys, especially if you're someone like me who doesn't eat processed foods. So if you don't eat processed foods, you're not really getting salt from anywhere else. So you're depriving your body of salt if you're not actually using it in the process. And the other thing I wanna use, just to give it a little bit of flavor, is something I picked up. I picked this up in Tel Aviv, actually, a year ago. And it's a wonderful little zaatar, and it's got fenugreek, which is a leaf that we use a lot for diabetics. So I always like to throw in a little bit of that. cardamom, which gives it a lovely sweet flavor without being a flavor. And then there's some turmeric, which I always like to throw in some turmeric and there's a little bit of zaatar and a little bit of turmeric, and that sounds about it for there. So you don't really even have to use that much because the sausage will certainly give it enough of a kick. So let's turn this on. Okay, let's try again. Sometimes this stove can be a little annoying. And then you want to put it on sort of a medium heat, and then you're going to cover it. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is let me take this out of the way. That is my dog sneezing in the background, just in case anyone's curious as to what that noise is in the background. So I'm just going to throw those away. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut up the sausage. And again, you can cut up this sausage any way you like. I'm going to cut it lengthwise so that it gets a nice even grill in the middle, because I like that little grill taste. And then because they're a little bit big, I'm going to chop them into thirds. And you could choose whatever you want. Sometimes I'll just throw them in like this. You could throw them in whole, and you could chop them up. You can also chop them up lengthwise like that as well. Anyway, I mean, that's the beauty of cooking. You can do it any way you want. So what I'm going to do for a few seconds is I'm going to stop this so that I can cut up the rest of the broccoli and onion, because that's going to be boring for you to watch. And then you're going to see how just delicious a meal of 3 ingredients can occur. And you're getting sulforaphanes, you're getting all sorts of things from the onion, so it's going to be great. Stand by. I guess I should say the reason I also put a cover on it is because it allows the vegetables to steam a little bit. So that allows the water to come out of the broccoli, it allows the water, and it helps the oil to caramelize the onion, because this way when you have that, you need less liquid to add. Now what sometimes I'll do at the end is I'll either add a little bone broth, because I always have bone broth on hand in the freezer, or I'll throw in a little bit of, sometimes if I've had guests over and there's some extra wine, I'll throw a little wine in there just to, like, at the end, to sort of give it a little blast of flavor, and then turn the heat up to high. But you don't have to do any of that. This can be really, really simple, because this is going to create a really nice sauce that you'll see for yourself. And that's why you put the lid on, so that the vegetables steam. You don't have this big, wide open sort of flame, and you don't get a lot of the sauteing, but you get just, you want to retain the freshness and the crispiness, and also the vitamins and minerals that are in the vegetables that we're cooking. So I'm going to just, I was going to talk to you about that as I was chopping these, but then realized that I really shouldn't be using a knife and not looking at it. So I chose to do that. So again, we're just kind of cutting these into thirds. You can cut them in any shape and form you want. It doesn't have to be this. Now the other thing you're going to notice is that what I'm really doing, and why this pot is so big, is that I'm making tomorrow night's dinner as well. And that's the beauty of these one pan meals, is that you can make a whole lot of it. And you can either take it for lunch. I don't eat lunch because I intermittently fast, but I eat dinner. And so I like a nice hearty dinner, and one that has a lot of vitamins and nutrients in it as well. So that's what we're going to be getting here. And this is, by the way, I should tell you, this is all organic, nitrate-free, fully pastured. This is pork, so fully pastured pigs. So this comes from a great company called U.S. Wellness Meats, which I highly recommend. They deliver right to your door. They pretty much have everything. Everything they sell is organic, pastured, all the good buzzwords that you want. Local farmers, so they support the local community, which is great. I'm going to step off and throw this away. We'll take a little look and see how this is doing. Be careful, because the top of this will be hot. And you can see, I wish I knew how to operate the camera better. One day I will. I'll have to hire a 12-year-old to learn how to do that. And just take like a big spoon, I'm using a slotted spoon, it doesn't have to be slotted. But if you can see that it's already beginning, the steaming of the vegetables and the macadamia nut oil that I put in and the little bit of zaatar from Israel is already starting to get a nice little bit of sauce on the bottom. And right now what I'm going to do, because it's new, is I'm going to throw in a little bit more macadamia nut oil. You don't have to. This is simply optional. Because what I'm trying to teach you is that you don't need a recipe to cook. You really only need your eyes. Your eyes will tell you. You've eaten enough, I'm sure, over the years that you know when food looks good. Look how nice and crispy. You see how how the broccoli has greened up, and the onions are starting to caramelize. So we're going to cover that back up. Again, use your oven mitt. And I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes, and then I will be back. Okay, so I'm back. That was 3 minutes. I had set a timer for that. So you don't have to, I just like to remind myself. So let's open this up and see what happens. Look at that. Really nice. The sauce, you're just getting more and more sauce is growing. You can actually smell the fenugreek, you can smell the cardamom. The broccoli is starting to get a little charred on the outside. The onions are continuing to caramelize. That's all we want to have. So now it's time to throw the sausage in. This is pre-cooked sausage, so you don't really need, so it's really, we're just heating it up. But it'll heat up, it'll let out some of its flavor into the whole sauce mix. And that's what we're really looking to do, because you don't want to overcook the vegetables, so we just throw it all in together, like that. Give it a quick little stir through. Because some people, what I'll sometimes would do is take some of these sausages and I would grill them. So you can cut them, slice them that way, so, horizontally, so that you can get the nice grill marks if you have an indoor grill, which I do have, or a grill pan is what I do have. So you put that in, you mix it back up, throw the cover back on, and I'm going to say, let's give this another 4 minutes before we can turn it. So I will be right back. Okay, so let's take a peek. So it's been 4 minutes since I was last here, and we're going to take a peek and see just how everything's doing. And you can see it's perfect. It's just about done. So what I like to do at the end here now is just let everything crisp up a little bit. And this is where, if you wanted to, you could add a little bit more water to get a little bit more sauce. You could add a little bit of wine and get some more sauce in there. You can do whatever you like in this portion of it, but what I'm going, whatever you prefer. But as you can see, the onions are caramelized, but not too much. The broccoli still has its nice color to it. That's what you're looking for. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn up the heat for a few minutes, let everything just kind of get a little crispy. And so the beauty of this entire meal is that basically we cooked it in less than 20 minutes. And in that time, how much it was really active. The only active part was chopping up the broccoli, chopping up the onion, and cutting up the sausage. The rest of it was just simply inactive time. And in that inactive time, you can really do whatever you want. I basically used it to go over some emails, get ready for the evening. May or may not have poured myself a cocktail. I'm not going to let you know that yet. This is the first episode. And so as you can hear this getting louder, you may not be able to hear it. It's starting to get louder. It's starting to get all the juices, starting to let everything, all the nutrients just come together and everything just crisp up really nicely. Now I'm just going to grab a bowl. And that is lesson number 1 of cooking with DrFred. Hope you enjoyed it, and this looks delicious.